How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be watching Everyone's Living Paycheck to Paycheck. No savings, just surviving. Barely. The amount of people becoming homeless and living in their cars, even though they're working 40 hours a week, is growing. It's getting scary out there. If you're, struggling, you're not alone. You definitely got to hustle in this economy right now to even feel any sort of relief from the stress of money problems.
I just got paid today, so let's budget my $895 paycheck. I work in retail part-time. I make $16.50 an hour, and I get paid twice a month, so let's see what this paycheck does for me. Adding that to what's in my checking account already, I have $4,659, which is a lot of money. I normally do not have that much in my account at all, but my credit cards, I just paid them this morning, and so all of that money is basically gone because I do all of my spending on my credit card. So I do not have $4,000 to my name. I definitely do not. All of that money is gone. It's already been spent. So I spent $477 on my MasterCard, $24 on my Discover card, $672 on my Amex card, and $965 on my Chase card. Again, this is like a month's worth of spending. And then I also spent $472 on my Delta Amex card because I flew home to Georgia to see my family. So that was for my flights. So if we subtract all of that from what's in my checking account, that leaves me $2,049. But we also need to subtract what I have in bills coming up between now and my next paycheck. I have just around $200 in bills. So that'll leave me with $1,849, which is still more than what I usually have left over at this time. But I know last paycheck, I didn't put all of my money towards debt. I left like a good buffer in my account, and I want to keep doing that moving forward. It's just sometimes I do not have enough to leave a buffer. So we are now on to paying off my Citi credit card, which is my balance transfer credit card. I have $2,950 left on that one, so I'm going to put $1,000 towards that. So that means I have $1,950 left to pay off on that one, so we are under the $2,000 mark. That's so exciting. And that also leaves me with $849 left to work with until my next paycheck. So not bad. We did good this month.
So many Americans right now.
So, you got $849 left, but I'm assuming that's going to be like spent on groceries and stuff. So basically $0 left, and you got like $2,000 in credit card debt. And you went and flew home to see your parents or your family or whatever. See, like yes, there is a cost of living crisis, and a lot of people are struggling to get by just on the minimum wage. And they might be not, splurging at all. They're just paying rent, buying food. But then there's like this other side that make enough to get by, but then they overspend. They spend on holidays, and it's a cost of living crisis, right? And these people are blaming everything on that, but yet they just don't know how to budget. They don't know how to they have no filter, I guess you could say. They just spend, and then try and blame it on the economy. How does that make sense? Right? And then they rack up debt because they would rather go into debt than, take responsibility for what they're doing. So, yes, obviously people are actually struggling, but then there's also the other side where it's just, and to be honest, a lot of it is young people just overspending and being reckless with their money and then trying to blame it on everything else other than themselves.
Are living paycheck to paycheck. And if you look at this guy, total monthly income $7,200, which is really good. That's a really good income. Expenses are so high, literally saves like $20 a month. Rent is super high. Gas, electric, cell phone, internet, these are all very pricey things. The car payment is a little high. Actually, it's very, very high. It's like $1,000. Got some student loans, pay off credit cards, of course, everyday expenditure, personal care, personal loans, Affirm. This guy is somewhat of a pretty high spender, but nowadays, people are very addicted to spending. And hey, you know what? Paycheck to paycheck living is becoming very common in the U.S. In fact, that's going to be like 60% of the entire U.S. population. Now, another big thing is so many people.
It's crazy to think that that's like the new norm, that people, it's always been almost the norm, like not always, but like in the last 20 years, it's been the norm that people just spend way too much money. And no wonder people can't afford a house, because one, they're extremely overpriced and way too unaffordable. But if you did work really hard, save up, like there's a chance that you could get it. But so many people are just unsubscribing to that belief in the American dream or the Australian dream of buying their own house, because one, they just think it's not possible. So what do? They just go splurge all their money. So what happens when they go to retire? They'll have nothing saved. And when you're spending $1,000 a month on a car, that's just to own it, right? Like, that's not even your registration, not your insurance. Like, that's a lot of money, right? It's just, people's priorities are like, they're back to front, right? Like, they'd just rather spend on luxuries rather than necessities and saving for a rainy day when shit hits the fan. Like, when shit hits the fan, they're just gonna have to go into debt, and then to pay off that debt, they're gonna really struggle, because they're not gonna try and change how they live their life, and then they just keep compounding that debt, and it's a horrible snowball. And that's how you see people get to those $60,000 debts, $100,000 debts of consumer debt pretty easily. And these buy now pay laters don't help.
People right now are living paycheck to paycheck. They start noticing that they can't buy anything nice themselves. Even this guy is using the Affirm app. And the thing is, Klarna and Affirm with the 4-month interest-free installment plans is really good if you don't abuse it. But let's be real, 99% of people who use Klarna or Afterpay or Affirm abuse the crap out of it as they overspend and they get sucked into this Klarna debt. And not to mention, you also have a lot of people really scared about AI. There's a lot of people saying the reason why they're living paycheck to paycheck for so long is because their jobs are not allowing them to climb up the corporate ladder. And as the corporate ladder is becoming harder and harder to climb up, they're also noticing that they're getting less and less income. One of my friends work for one of the biggest healthcare software companies out there, says that the way to climb up the corporate ladder and the bonuses have dropped so much that many of them are saying that bonuses probably will never come, and trying to get higher salaries in near a few decades is nearly impossible. Many people are complaining that everything is getting more expensive. Check out some of these TikToks. It's not great.
My coworker saw my...
Yeah, so if you're struggling to, increase your income through work, can't climb up the ladder, there's less progression, less pay rises, less incentives, then obviously, it just adds to that mentality of checking out of any sort of big time purchases, in like a house or investing in stocks. Like, people just say, what's the point, and just give up, when that's, in reality, that's like the worst possible thing you can do.
Bank account the other day, and it said $25, and we don't get paid for another 2 weeks. And he was like, how are you surviving? Like, how do you even live off $25? I'll tell you if you really want to know how I budget and save. I sleep. Literally, you have to have no obligations, just sleep, because if you're sleeping, you can't be spending money, period.
Am I the only one who feels like I will never stop living paycheck to paycheck? The economy we live in is trash. The jobs we work for are trash. They pay you the bare minimum, but want you to show up and give your 110%. How does that work? These houses, they want you to pay $1,000+ for rent, and they're 1980 houses. You gotta have a deposit, last month's rent, first month's rent. Like, why do I need to pay last month's rent? I don't understand that. Car insurance, car payments, they're rip-offs. Why am I paying $300 for car insurance? I don't understand. Health insurance, skyrocket. Food, skyrocket. Like, I just don't understand how I will ever be able to afford to wake up and go hop on a plane and enjoy my best life. I just don't understand. By the time my kids get to adulthood, they're gonna have to pay to open the door to walk out of their own house. I really, really, really rather be a cockroach crawling on the ground for free than have to live this life every day. Like, I can't be the only one who feels this way. Like, I need to know. Y'all.
Yeah, I think everyone's sort of feeling that way. Like me personally, I'm 23. Like I've got a dual income household. Me and my partner both work, no kids. So for us, it's not too hard to live comfortably. Like we're both, making decent money, so it's easy enough. However, if we were to add a kid, drop one income, man, we would be struggling real hard. And that's not right, Like, you shouldn't have to struggle that hard to get by when, the amount that people pay in taxes is so high. Like, what do you actually get back for your tax money when, you sort of drop down to one income because obviously one parent needs to stay at home, look after the kids for, a couple years until they're ready to go to kindy and school and whatever, and then they go learn all this shit from these people. And you basically then have to go back to work because you can't survive. You can't actually parent your kids properly. Like, it's a pretty rigged system that we're in, and the way it's gotten here is just pure greed. Has just pushed everyone to a limit where everyone has to be working all the time to be able to get anything done, to get any sort of sense of security. Like, no wonder people don't want to have kids anymore, right?
2 jobs to making $40,000 minimum a month. I'm gonna break down exactly how I did it, so stay till the end. My name is Megan. If you haven't seen me before, I have been doing affiliate and digital marketing since March of 2023, and the reason I started it is because I was very tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I was over $100,000 in debt, still living with my parents at 30 years old, and I was struggling. I could not, for the life of me, get out of debt, and I was working 60 hours a week. I was burnt out. I was exhausted.
And that's the other problem. When you work 60 hours a week, the amount of money you pay in tax is just heart-wrenching. Like, it's just like, you're sacrificing so much time at home and with loved ones to just be getting absolutely rear-ended by tax. And, like, it's good to make more, but unless you're making an extra 20 grand, like, if you're making 20 grand a month, right, you're living pretty good. But how many of us even make nearly that much? Not many at all. Like 10 grand a month is good, but you can't support like a family like you used to be able to. Like, you can't have a stay-at-home parent, and you can't have kids on 10 grand a month anymore. It's impossible.
Hated my jobs, I hated my bosses, I hated trading my time for money, and nothing I was doing was working to get me out of the debt hole that I was in. I was seeing side hustles all over my For You page. I tried Etsy, I tried UGC, I tried literally everything and anything you could think of. I even literally signed up to sell feet pics. Not my proudest moment. Did I sell any? No. Did I post any? No. But the website and the profile was made. I wanted to work from home. The end goal was to work from home, pay off debt, and stay in a happy financial place where I could just breathe for a minute. Because for so long, my body was in a state of fight or flight. And for so long, I was living in a state of constantly having to say, I can't afford that, or it's going to have to wait until payday. Can't do it this time, maybe next time, or asking people for help. I was constantly asking people for money for help, to pay for this, to pay for that, and an IOU. And I couldn't do the IOUs anymore because it was constantly getting embarrassing. So I saw a side hustle. I saw this girl posting about how she was making $50,000 a week, and I thought to myself, that girl's making more money in a week than I make in an entire 365 days at my 2 jobs that I work. I thought that is the most insane bullshit I have ever heard in my life. But I was so desperate, and that number seemed so intriguing that I thought, you know what? I need to know what the fuck that is. So I learned.
I'd love to hear if you guys have any side hustles or do anything on the side to make extra dollars, like whether it's lawn care or whatever, and how much you make from it. It'd be really interesting to know below. Obviously, I've started this YouTube channel to see if I can make some money off it, see how it goes. Be pretty nice to make a couple extra $100 a week, see how we go. Let's keep
I
going.
teach myself, I buy some courses. Okay, yep, bought some courses, taught myself. and implemented the skills. I implemented everything that I learned. And then I came into this space because I wanted to figure it out. So I came into the Make Money Online space, meaning as I was figuring it out, I was talking about it. I was sharing my journey, I was sharing my ups, my downs, and I started educating people what I was learning. So I stayed in the wealth space. I stayed in the wealth and education space and started promoting the tools that I found helpful. That is how I've made over $850,000 since March of 2023.
That'd be pretty sick, eh? That's some good money. If you guys have done a side hustle that's made anything close to that, let me know. I'm going to cut this video here. The full video link is below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.